We are live and it is a Saturday night, and we just have a few amazing friends that we are getting together tonight to actually cook and have some great conversation. We have Douglas, Alan, and Robert who are here from all the way across the country. And I decided tonight that I was going to be making mussels and artichokes for dinner. And mussels have long been known as a superfood. They have powerful anti-inflammatory properties. And if you are in Scotland, actually, their rope-grown mussels are rich in zinc and selenium. So definitely amazing. There are some warnings when it does come to mussels that you're supposed to buy them in months, long traditionally, in months that have an R in them, and summer months are considered off season until they started raising them on farms in the water. And the one that in particular that I source my mussels from, it's low in algae. They make sure that there are no contaminants in the water or anything like that. So they're actually healthy. So you always have to make sure, the number one thing is make sure where you are sourcing your shellfish. Number one, absolutely so important. And also make sure that you do check with your own healthcare provider to make sure that anything we're talking about, whether it's the mussels or the artichokes or any other foods, any other ingredients, that you make sure that you get explicit consent from your own healthcare provider to determine if these ingredients, these foods are right for your diet, because different people, different diets, different presentations of disease, different comorbidities, all of the above, that you need to make sure to customize for you. For
And that
me, I was actually told by my dietitian I needed more B vitamins. I didn't feel like eating red meat. I needed more B vitamins. I needed more omega 3s. And I'm allergic to flaxseed, so I can't have that. I don't feel like eating red meat. So she suggested I have some mussels. And so I am trying to have some mussels tonight. So you're going to see me actually cooking them for the very first time. Yes, I source them specially, and they're farm raised, few contaminants, if at all. And I'm going to give this a try. So we have our peanut gallery. Douglas, Alan, and Robert to make fun of me as we go along. We're going to switch manually between cameras so you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to get started. I have my artichokes here, Douglas. See them, guys? So it's interesting if I turn
Robert
them.
already checked out. He already went mute.
I'm here. Those better be Castroville artichokes, then, right?
You know what? Actually, I'm not. They're a product of the USA. So I would imagine that Castroville here in California would be the perfect place to get those artichokes. But I don't know about your markets, but artichokes are so expensive normally. If you go to a regular market, you could find them upwards of $3, $4 a piece. I even saw them at one market at $5.99 for one large artichoke. But at Trader Joe's here in California, I got 4 small artichokes for $2.99. And
Awesome deal.
so 4 meals,
They're
four
kind of
vegetables,
expensive
two
here
ninety
in
nine.
Texas.
That's pretty good,
Gotta love Trader
right?
Joe's.
Trader Joe's just, I mean, I think high quality food, great prices, and the people there are always so incredibly nice. So, what do I do for an artichoke? So, I first cut off a part of the stem and make sure if I get a little bit larger artichoke, sometimes I can get 8 meals out of one artichoke. So, it just depends on the package. And if the artichokes are a little bit larger, I'll normally cut them in half and I get 8 meals out of them, which is
Do, do
perfect
you
for me.
also know my mom did artichokes? She would take the
Oh,
stalk off
really?
and she would keep it
Yep.
and put it in broth when she made her own broth.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant because they say that when you're actually steaming vegetables, that a lot of the vitamins end up. And I might actually do what you said. I might actually stick these, I might rinse them, and then I might stick them in my broth for the mussels, because then I can actually I'm going to do that. I just did. so I can get the extra vitamins out of it. So that's a really good idea. Thanks, Douglas.
I have never had a hard artichoke in my life.
The first time, I actually, so I'm single, and I a lot of times here in the Bay Area, a big delicacy is having some, crab artichokes and fresh sourdough garlic bread. And one of the gentlemen that I ended up dating, I fixed that for one night, and he was trying to eat the entire artichoke leaf. He didn't have the heart to tell me that he had never had a full artichoke. And the thing is with the artichokes, so you want to get them, we have it down to literally a science here that you put them in the boiling water to steam them. And once it hits a boil, you set the timer for 30 minutes, and it's usually cooked absolutely perfect to where you can just pop the leaf off or pluck the leaf out, and you're just scraping with your bottom teeth. You're just scraping the meat off the artichoke leaf. That's all you're doing. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I have a lot of artichokes here because
that's part of the rainbow package too. When you eat,
it is.
Our nutritionist was talking about is part of the rainbow package.
Exactly. I'm gonna keep this stem. Yep. And Douglas, what are some of the foods that fit the rainbow? Right? You got your cherries, you got your
orange, cherries, green apples, red apples, grapes, red, green, and blueberries. I love blueberries now. I just eat blueberries by themselves now.
Blueberries have some great studies out there on how they can actually improve your blood. So it's worth, doctor Googling or talking to a doctor about how blueberries may help benefit your vascular system. It's a really good point.
We've seen the Michigan farm markets quite a bit in the summertime. Their blueberries are out now. They're giant.
Oh, they're gorgeous. And over at Trader Joe's, we got an entire 2-pound box for $7.49. I could not believe it. I know, right? That was just crazy. One of the things that you want to be careful of with the artichokes is they'll bite you. So they're not alive, but you think they were. So you can actually, cut the top off because you're never going to eat all the way down to the tip. So if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm a, longtime San Franciscan, so that doesn't really bother me. I know how to get around the bite, and I don't usually get bitten. So, but you can cut off the top if you want. I can even show you a little bit if you want to see, how I do that. I can bring down the camera so you can see the other angle. There we go. So, you can actually just.
Boy, they're tough.
Oh, these ones are I don't have any muscles either. So I'm. The other thing that you can do, so if you do take off the top of them, you can, and it's not very pretty, is you can actually, spread them out like I do here. And I have a little bit of, let's say, some gluten-free, because I'm allergic to gluten. So I can take some gluten-free, just a little bit, and you sprinkle it in the different leaves. Breadcrumbs that has parsley. I like the Italian seasoning in it. Parsley, oregano, basil. And that is actually really good as well. I dip mine in a little bit of oil with garlic, but I get, the special oil. I get the, make sure when you're choosing your olive oil, choose wisely. Make sure that it's the early harvest, hand-picked, cold-pressed, extra virgin olive oil, because so many olive oils on the shelves are actually rancid. So you want to make sure you're careful about that.
Couldn't you? Mom always opened them up, and she would put Parmesan. She would do that same thing with Parmesan cheese.
Yes, you can put a little bit of Parmesan cheese in there as well, just depending on your diet. For me, I'm allergic to dairy. Dairy except butter. That's really funny. So I can't have any, I can have a little bit of Parmesan, but I can't have a whole bunch of it.
So when you go to steam these, do you actually use a steaming basket or no?
I don't. I don't have all of the fun special tools that a lot of people have. It's funny because we did a foodie Friday last night, and the influencer that we were trying to cook, we were trying to bake the cake that she had made, and she had a mixer that would actually allow her to make her egg whites really, really fluffy. Well, I don't have that. I don't have the money for that kind of thing. So I go with what I have. You know, for every single recipe, I can't always go out and buy something new. So I try to fudge it. So what it turns out that this 2-ingredient chocolate cake that we made last night, which we're going to post the video. We were live, but we hid the video because I lost audio on it. But also along with it, there's 2 ingredients. It was dark chocolate that had monk fruit extract as its sweetener, and eggs, and you separate the egg white. So the difference between this influencer, Low Carb Loves, her chocolate cake and her brownies was simply the way in which she handled the eggs. So I was trying to do the cake, and I didn't have a regular mixer. I just had this handheld thing that I was trying to make do with. My egg whites did not whip up. It was just bad news. But it turns out that they made the brownies. So if you look at another one of her videos, that if you handled the eggs the way I did without whipping the eggs and folding them in properly, it would turn into brownies. And so instead of the cake, I made healthier brownies.
But also, is there a difference in the eggs between the different type of eggs you can buy that actually will rise?
So, you know, it's interesting too. And so right now I'm just showing you, I use Amphora Nueva. Love their extra virgin olive oil. All of their olive oils are specially sourced. They actually only bottle it when you order it. And they make sure that all of their olive oil is early harvest, hand-picked, cold-pressed, extra virgin. One of their olive oils, the Kalamata oil, has earned the recognition as healthiest olive oil in the world the past 3 years, which is great. But I need a higher temperature cooking oil for this, and this one still has a lot of health benefits to it, so I get it still from there. I do that. I'm adding a little bit of parsley, you know, to my artichokes just for a little bit of extra flavor, and I'm adding some basil to it, and I sprinkle it all in here. Sometimes I add a little lemon. I usually like to add a little lemon afterwards, and I squeeze lemon over the top before I put them in either serve them or put them in the fridge. I also sometimes add a little cayenne pepper for a little heat and it adds some flavor in the steam, which is great. What was your question, Douglas? I'm sorry, I forgot.
About the eggs. There's a
difference. Oh, so the eggs. Yeah, you bring up such a good point. So we only use farm fresh eggs, and we noticed that when I was cracking the eggs compared to this influencer, that my eggs were much smaller and I had less egg white, well, less yolk too. And so she was using these large eggs that I think that you can pretty much only buy at the supermarket, buy those extra large chickens. And so I probably, in order to get the amount of egg whites that she had, I probably would have needed to use anywhere between 6 and 8 of these small farm fresh eggs in order to get the amount of egg whites that Low Carb Love used in her recipe. She just used 4. So that's something to also consider when you're following some of these recipes. I mean, those of us who are on more strict diets for vascular and cardiovascular, we do need to think about those things. And so we can't always follow the recipes that we do see online. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing, and I'm even doing what I'm doing, is because I have to modify everything. My dad always jokes that the only things I'm not allergic to are celery, water, and vodka. And so I'm like, that's
Does that
that's
include
really nice.
martini?
All clear liquids for, yeah. So, you know, a couple times a week, I always have, my dad likes to fix, you know, martini, and we toast my mom because it was, you know, my mom always loved to have a martini once in a while. And so we try to have moments each week where we can honor my mom. So it's nice. It's usually Friday and Saturday nights that my dad and I have a little toast together. But he's out on a date, so I'm here alone. He gets more dates than I do. It's awesome. So I'm sitting here. I have three of the best dates in the world. I have Douglas, Allen, and Robert here. So we're making artichokes and mussels if you're just tuning in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that
turn the
kind of makes us feel like second best or something, doesn't it? Like,
come
I thought we were
on.
trying farmers only.
You
I'm
guys are
single.
hilarious.
and I'm sitting here learning how to cook mussels on a Saturday night. It's like,
I
hello.
love it. Hey, you have the best girlfriend ever. I think Stella rocks. So
She
right
can't.
now I am just, what'd you say?
She's got to keep them in line.
Yes, she does. So this is the fun part. So we have an induction stove. Oh, it actually worked. Sometimes it chooses to not like my fingers. And so it chooses not to work. So I just put the artichokes on. I'm going to let them come to a boil, and I'm going to put a lid on them. And then what I'm going to do is the reason I put them on first is because they do take 30 minutes. And so once they come to a boil, I'll turn it down, set the timer, and those will be going for 30 minutes. And
Is
that
is
will
there
be
a
good to
way
go.
to tell when they're actually done?
Yeah, what you do is you just take a leaf very carefully, and you just pull it out and see if it comes out easily. If it comes out easily, it needs to come out. You can't force it. If you're having to give it a good pull, no, it's not done. It should easily come out. Just the moment you touch it, it's almost like it's almost falling out. So that's really important. You can also, I have garlic, so you can also even add some garlic to it, and that adds to it. I just was a little lazy, so I didn't do that because I know I need to chop up garlic. I might add some in a few minutes once I start chopping up the garlic for my broth for mussels, but I just wanted to get them on because it takes too long, and I know you guys have better things to do on a Saturday night later, and so I don't want to take 2 hours to cook everything. So give me a moment. I'm going to walk away for a second. I'm going to go grab the lid to put on there, and I'm going to start getting my, I think I might chop up the mussels. I might get the, not the mussels, the garlic and stuff, and get them ready for the mussels. So give me 1 second.
This will be an interesting meal, won't it?
Yeah, I'm not a big seafood eater, so
Well, I've never actually had a mussel, so I don't know what they taste like, to be honest. I've never actually had one.
Well, if you have it with butter and garlic, it tastes like butter and garlic. They're a little. They could be a little chewy.
yeah, that's
If
what
they're
I.
not, if they're not made right, it's not like calamari or anything.
My first thought was, does it taste like chicken?
No.
No.
If you ever had escargot, it's kind of like eating escargot with butter.
Yeah.
I tried that whenever I went on my cruise, and I said, okay, I'm gonna try different things. And I actually like the escargot though.
Oh, snails are good.
Well, do you guys like the snails or do you like the butter? I just have to ask that question.
A little bit of both for me, actually. But butter is good.
Do a little bit of both.
I have to have the
Okay.
butter with it though.
I know it's,
Can't do
and
snails without it.
I'm sure when you're doing it, you make sure that it's, grass fed, farm raised, unsalted.
Snails.
Yeah, sure.
All of the above.
Grass-fed snails.
Yeah. Yeah, really hard healthy, my friend. Really hard healthy. But you know what? We always joke that, you've got to, every once in a while, everyone can have a treat. And you got to have your vice, right? You got to have something.
My vice is food in general.
Food in general. Douglas shared a video this morning with us, and it was this comedian that was talking about, right now, by the way, I'm cutting shallots. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm cutting some shallots for my broth. But
That
this
little
video
toaster
was
thing.
a larger guy that was joking about the fact that he does not like salad. He doesn't like greens. His dietitian told him to eat salad. And he says the only reason he likes when salad comes at a restaurant is for the promise of what's to come. Because
John
the
Finette.
salad always means, especially when you go to a steak restaurant, there's always a salad that comes before the steak. So he said if he is going to eat a salad, you had better be drizzling the Haagen-Dazs on top. Why ranch? Why not Haagen-Dazs?
It's just funny the way he talks about it.
Oh, I've seen that
John
guy.
Finette,
I know who you're
he's a
talking
very
about.
yeah, John Panette. He's just a very funny comic about his own. I guess you could call it a disability.
Yeah.
His stomach sure made him a lot of money. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
like kale. How many of you like kale?
kale, so the secret with kale is you got to break it down. So with kale is you have to actually, so what I do is I put it inside my bowl and I actually squish it with my fingers to break it down a little bit. And it breaks down some of the toughness of it. So I'll break it down with my hands with a little bit of water. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of vinegar, and I'll just crunch it with my washed hands. And I'll break it down just a little bit so it's a little soft. Well, softer.
We do it with what I call garbage salad. Garbage salad has everything greens in it. Anything you can think of.
I
And
love the way you put that. Okay,
we
I
have
like
a
garbage
we
salad.
have a mix of, it's in a bag, mixed of kale and spinach leaves.
I like
That's
spinach leaves.
that's about half of the salad. Besides broccoli, what else is in there? It's kind of just a throw together salad, whatever's in the fridge.
So what
That's
you're
brilliant.
cutting up there, Kim, is you're cutting it a specific way.
I don't have
Small
any
chunks,
specific
big
way.
chunks.
So this is shallots. So I try to do things in just smaller chunks. If you want, I can show you, but I'm sure that chefs are sitting there looking at what I'm doing and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, don't
mortified.
follow what
They're
she's
mortified.
doing." I can, show you a little bit closer, but I'm sure that's just going to make me look even worse. But I mean, I don't know about you. I wasn't, formally trained in anything except for broadcasting, but it wasn't food cooking. I wasn't on the Food Network or anything like that. So I just, I do the best I can. I'm just a real home cook. I don't have time. I don't have a lot of time. And when do you learn how to cook right? What am I supposed to do? Just sit on YouTube and look for videos on how to cook every single time? Nope. I do the best I can. And, it is what it is. So I'm just going to add the easiest thing for me to do is I got some sliced cremini mushrooms. And so I'm going to add those to it as well, because I love anything mushroom. I absolutely love. I can't eat a lot of it because I do have a little bit of a sensitivity to mushrooms, but I don't want to become allergic. So my allergist said to sprinkle a few mushrooms into my diet once a week. So that's
What
I'm
kind
doing
did
tonight
you
is my
have
mushroom
there,
night.
Kim?
I like the cremini mushrooms because they're a lot easier to deal with. And plus, they were already sliced. I didn't have to slice them. And that's a bonus. So if I don't have to slice them, sometimes, I have a budget for the month when I'm cooking. And so if I'm out of budget for the month, I will spend more time in the kitchen, like doing a lot more chopping than I'm doing tonight. I would actually get the regular garlic. This one I actually got, so the garlic's already at least peeled. And I still have to cut it. I could have used my crusher, but for this particular recipe, when I'm doing mussels, I just remember from being when I was in Amsterdam, and I was actually visiting cath labs in Amsterdam and watching cases. I was watching doctors open up arteries. So they took us to a couple of restaurants, and mussels were a really big deal there at the time of year they were in season. And I just remember big chunks of garlic in the broth with my mussels. So that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to just emulate kind of what they did. It's not going to be perfect. I did find a recipe online, and it just gave me some of the ingredients. I never follow the exact amounts that they're doing, which is probably why my stuff never tastes the same. I still think it tastes good, but I'm only cooking like tonight, I'm just cooking for one. So I don't want to cook a lot of extra food, because with mussels, you can't really have leftovers. I don't think mussels would taste good. Another night, reheated. Can you imagine reheated mussels? Ugh. No.
So are you just dicing up the whole garlic?
Yeah. So
Try something. Turn the knife sideways on one clove, where it's on the flat side. Hit it with your hand. It's a lot easier. Plus, it releases
like
more
this?
flavor. Yep.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Releases a lot of flavor.
I hope the dog does not get that one or that one. So I launched him across the.
Yeah, but
No,
be careful. Be careful where things fly, and be careful. Make sure that knife facing the right way when you slap your hand on there.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Brave
Hold on,
on that one.
I have to go collect the garlic and throw that out. Hold on.
My mom had a little mallet she kept in the kitchen. That's what she did hers with. She had a little mallet. She'd put it up on the counter and smash it with that mallet.
Okay.
Garlic grater.
A garlic grater.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
Marie,
Yep, that
got
would
a
take your
garlic
fingers
grater.
off.
I do have a garlic crusher, so I could have used that, but I wanted the bits and pieces, and I think you're right. I think that's what they say, is you should actually smash it, because you do end up with more flavor.
Yep.
So I probably could do it. So, for me, the recipe I chose, I'm gonna reduce down some wine in there. I get a
We
cheap
saw
wine. I
the
just
swig
get
off the bottle.
the Southern Home. I just get some of that. What I would suggest doing for most is, and I don't have it, but I prefer, is get a little bit of bone broth, and you could either use bone broth, or even to make it a little bit more healthy, is maybe use a little bit of vegetable broth. Again, I'm allergic to a lot of the preservatives in those, so I can't do it. So I have had to use a little bit of wine in mine. So that's kind of what I have to do. So
Wine's better.
You can make your own broth, right? And put that in there. That's healthier with that other stuff you sent me to make my broth with.
yeah. You can add, if you want it a little bit thicker, you can always add a little bit of arrowroot, or
that's it.
If you like it a little creamier, you could end up adding, I make my own, walnut milk with 1 cup walnuts, 2 cups water, put it in the blender, let it smooth, and you can make it a little bit creamier by doing that kind of thing as well, and just adding and making sure it's the right texture for you by the amount of water that you put in. And yeah, you can make it just a little bit creamier. So I'm gonna add just some spices too. I'm gonna add a lot of parsley.
Can
I
I
always
use
see a lot of
Boone's
parsley in
Farm
there.
Can I use Boone's Farm for my wine?
There you go.
That's fine.
Mad Dog 2020.
You guys are gonna get me into so much trouble.
A little
Adding
Scott,
some
little
basil.
shot of Scott.
Then there
I
was
would
that.
add a little bit of ginger, which the gentleman at the shop, I never thought to add ginger to it, but he said to add a little bit of ginger
Now, is
to
this the part where
the
you can
broth.
add, you can kind of add what things that you may like to this broth, like bell
That's what I
peppers
would
or
think.
something like that? Or does
Yeah,
that make, so you can kind of make
add a
this?
little chili flakes. Yeah, I think that you can make it whatever you want. And I think that what he suggested is to, and I'm gonna add a little pepper. He suggested to cook some of the broth, taste it, and then, you know, when it's ready and when you think it tastes really good, then go ahead and add the mussels to it. I'm gonna add a little bit of Celtic salt. And I don't add too much, but I just add a little bit. If you're going to use salt, Celtic salt has a lot of extra nutrients and stuff in there. So, if you're going to use salt, that's a really good salt to use. And even though I added
was that a
fresh garlic,
pinch?
I'm not being paid,
It was a shake.
no financial incentive for any of that.
Are you
You know,
gonna-
another good
are you
wine
gonna-
we use is
I'm
named.
not
It's
going to
called
drink
Night
all
Train.
this, but I'm just going to make this so I can put, I just need to beef it up, but I'm not going to drink this. So it's just
Are you gonna
to,
list? Are you gonna list all these ingredients in the for us?
absolutely not. If it tastes good, maybe, but you know, just so you
This
see.
is-
So I use parsley.
This
This
is
is
like
called
shake and
Kim's
bake. Good
cooking.
luck, Robert.
This is so like you need to go back to see what Kim did and then ask her if it tasted okay. So my
better
mom
check that
always
first.
used to say, my mom always used to say, she's, you know, Kim, write down what you do because I can never do the same thing twice. So if it tasted good, she'd say, so what'd you do? I want to do that again. And I'd say, I don't know what I did. I have no idea. I don't know how much of each one. So I just always hope each time it's going to turn out, it'll always turn out different. It always seems to taste good. But for those who are keeping scores, so I used a little bit of ground ginger. I used a little bit of organic basil, some garlic, and some parsley and some red chili flakes, and a little bit of Celtic salt. So that's what I did to start my broth. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. So we are not here all night. I'm going to let that come to a boil. I'm going to turn it down and then go from there. So what I think we need to do next, I already made my salad in case, you know, you talk about a garbage salad. We had a lot of stuff left over in the fridge this week. So I did the same thing. I did a little garbage salad. I made a Niçoise salad at the beginning of the week. And that included some string beans, so raw string beans. So I chopped up the rest of the raw string beans. I chopped up the tomatoes. I have cucumbers. I have carrots. I have a little bit of leftover coleslaw that is in there, which red cabbage is so good for you. Or should I say, if you're keeping count for the rainbow, you can count that as purple. So purple cabbage in there. Cucumbers, celery, all of the above is in there, which
That's
is
just a
absolutely
rainbow there, but
delicious.
that's just a rainbow there by itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And you can even add some blueberries if you wanted in there. I like those little mandarin oranges are delicious and add so much. I find that I use less dressing when I add a few slices of mandarin oranges on there, and I'm able to, those are so juicy with a piece of lettuce. They're delicious.
So I got a question then. What about kiwi? Have you ever used kiwi in your
Oh,
salad?
kiwi.
Or
Yeah, kiwi is great. And kiwi has seeds in it and it's delicious. A little tough if you have diverticulitis or another issue with your gut, but they're absolutely delicious and they're really healthy. Okay, that already came to a boil. So we're gonna turn that down and let that simmer. And then I am going to get the mussels.
Kim, you lost me as a date. My girlfriend's here, so
Oh, you should bring Katie over and say
no.
hello.
Well, this is my video girlfriend. Marie's here.
Oh, well, oh, there she is. Hello, Marie. Great to see you.
She was the
I'm
one that was going to send you the grater. I don't know what a grater is. What is a grater?
Sounds like you take your knuckles off.
Oh yeah, no. I don't use that. I can't use that. I
No.
will literally chop my fingers off. I already did that with Amanda Lynn. So if you guys are
Oh
going to
yeah.
be joining in to watch, I think on Monday night, Douglas was asking me to make my vegetable lasagna. It's an alternative. I don't use any noodles because I'm allergic to gluten. The only noodle that I will use that I think is spectacular is it's an almond noodle, and I have to get the name of it for you, but I get it at Whole Foods or at Nugget in the freezer section, and it is melt in your mouth noodle and it's almond. But I prefer why add extra calories. I love the flavor of just honestly just all the layered vegetables. So that's what we're going to do, I think, on Monday night. But here are my mussels. And I am going to, so I was told that with the mussels, the first thing you have to do, so all of them have this little beard. So you got to remove the beard, is what he said. And I'm not sure, so I have to remove the beard. This is going to be fun. From all of these. Yeah, you guys know me too well. This is not my idea of fun.
Ow, ow,
Yeah, not
ow.
fun.
Can you hear them screaming every time you pull your beard off?
Oh, it's the worst because they're supposedly, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this whole thing. But I was
Remove
told
the
I
beard?
needed to eat, I needed more B
I want to be
vitamins
like
and
a Brazilian.
omegas. So I am literally going to do as my dietitian said. Everyone has their own individual diets. I always suggest every single healthcare plan, if you have one, allows at least for one visit with a dietitian. I suggest everyone make use of it and go to the dietitian and find out what diet and what foods are best for you. But my dietitian, she has her doctorate. She is not just an RDN, registered dietitian. She has her doctorate from Stanford. And she told me that mussels were a great option for me right now because I don't want to have red meat. And so, and I'm allergic to flaxseed. So to get my omegas as well, this was a good all-in-one option in
Now,
one meal.
he
So
told you had to take those off.
he said you have to take the beard out, and all of these have this beard. And you can see it here. And so you just need to pull them out and then you need to rinse them really well. That's what they told me. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know.
Mussels should be rinsed about 3 times.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Thank you for that, Alan.
Does that the part where, like she said earlier, you got to be careful with them because they can be dangerous if not used properly or
They can,
Yeah.
they
cooked
can
right.
if they're not rinsed, they could taste a little sandy.
Yes.
They can have sand in them. They can have, you
Yeah.
know, the contaminants and things like that. And that's why it's really important. I mean, no matter what vegetables or what meats, no matter what foods, you always should make sure where you're sourcing them. Because it'll literally depend. You could look online for the nutrient levels and it's going to vary. So you always want to make sure you have the best place to source them. And normally they say that you shouldn't just eat mussels in any month that does not have an R in it, unless they're specially farm raised. This is the only shellfish or any fish that I will eat that's actually farm raised, which is pretty funny. I will not eat anything else, but when it comes to these, mussels and clams, I like them to be farm raised because I want to make sure that there are fewer contaminants, potentially in there. And so that's really important. In this particular area that these were sourced, they don't have the algae that you would find in a lot of places about this time of year. So they're very careful.
You know,
So
I think they say one of the most common found bacteria in it is like a harmful infection type is fibrosis.
oh, vibriosis, yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly. And so especially if you are pregnant, children, older folks, you got to be extra careful. And that's why, you know, most of this stuff, you know, I don't like to eat raw. I always like to make sure they're cooked, but that one in particular, you know, some of those you can't just cook them out. So it's always good to make sure that one, again, you know where they're sourced, and two, make sure that your doctor is okay with you eating these particular, you know, mussels, especially other types of shellfish. They might have warnings for you based on their experience. And they also know your medical situation best, that you might have a comorbidity, you know, diabetes might be one that might make you more susceptible. If you have a compromised immune system, you might be more susceptible.
Yeah, they
Doesn't
talk
mean you
about
can't have them.
they talk about like cancer, liver disease, diabetes is one of
Yeah.
the top ones. Immune system, digestive
Yeah.
disorders are some of the things that they talk about. You
Yeah.
need to check with your doctor before you try mussels for sure.
Yeah, and many other types of shellfish. But as we said, I mean, it just depends on your particular diet. You know, my dad has heart disease and he has blood clots and he's on anticoagulant therapy, and his doctor said that he is okay, and he's 82 years old, and they said that, and his doctor, dietitian diet is actually okay with him eating these, and she thinks it's great because she wants him to get the extra vitamins B, or, you know, from this versus eating, you know, red meat all the time.
How
And
many
so
how
this is a
many
good
foods
option.
how many foods do you know that go both ways? Because they say mussels also is one of the superfoods.
It
So
is. Yeah.
it is good, but for some, and yet that's where we have to be careful and watch out.
Yep. And so many foods are like that. You know, for my mom, when she had Crohn's disease, and Crohn's disease presents different in different people. For her, every single time she would have a salad, she would end up in a fetal position and she could not digest greens at all. It would send her to the hospital. And so she was really struggling for a long time, you know, with that. And we had to figure out a way to get her so that she could eat, you know, the greens. And so that was, you know, really hard. So you really do need to check with your doctor and get a dietitian, get a nutritionist to determine, you know, what foods are right for your particular presentation of disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Crohn's disease, other digestive issues, whatever it might be, to make sure to figure out what's actually right for you. So I'm going to turn this around and I am going to, hopefully you guys can see me. I'm going to switch ears as well. And I do have my, I rinsed them and rinsed them and rinsed them, Alan. So I hope that you're happy with my rinse. My stuff is simmering. I have about 7 minutes left in my artichoke. So I was gonna wait for my artichokes to get done, make sure that those are done, and then I was going to, because it only takes a few minutes for the mussels to get done. So I could show you something else that I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm going to be making, my dad has to have a camera placed down. He has to swallow a camera for his digestive system. So he ended up on both dual antiplatelet anticoagulation therapy, and he ended up with dark sticky stools, and they were concerned that maybe he might have some sort of internal bleed. He had a colonoscopy, turns out there's polyps. And what I learned from this experience from his doctor, Dr. Grandy, his gastroenterologist, is that polyps can actually cause, you know, with the anticoagulation therapy, can actually bleed a little bit. They're benign, you know, in his situation. So not really a concern, but she thinks it's that, but she's not sure. There's this one connection between, having the endoscopy, having the colonoscopy, that those can't reach. And it can only be reached and seen if you swallow this little camera. So he's going to swallow the camera. The day before, he can only have clear liquids. And so one of the things that we're going to do is they suggested getting a pineapple and, cutting the pineapple. Pineapples have a lot of really great benefits. If you are diabetic, again, make sure to watch. It's, high on the glycemic index. But what we'll do is, yes, we're going to have a little bit of pineapple with our breakfast in the morning. But if I take the outside of the pineapple, the top and the skin, and I boil it in water, and I actually bottle that water, and there's so many nutrients that are in the outside that you don't get by just throwing them away. So we make a little bit of flavored pineapple water, actually using the outside skins. And you can do this with all kinds of fruit. You can do it with orange peels, lemon peels. Don't throw them out. Just rinse them off, scrub them a little bit, make sure that you get any sort of pesticides and such off, and then boil them all together in water, and you have flavored water.
Technically, the skin of most fruit are the best and contain the most vitamins and things in it than the whole thing does.
Yeah, they have a lot of nutrients in it. So it's really important. There's one influencer on Instagram, and her name escapes me, but it's something like, scrappiness or something like that. And I follow her, and she takes different scraps, like even the outside of an onion, the peel of an onion. She puts them in the dehydrator just a little bit because they're already dry. And then she puts them in the food processor, and she makes onion. Whoops. I had to drop something tonight. So she puts them in a little container. So she reuses a spice container, and she uses the minced onion, the dried onion, for just flavoring. And I think that that's absolutely brilliant. I just don't have the patience for some of that. But if you're an influencer and you're online, that's what you do. That's how you make your money. So you're going to take the time to do it. But it is an option. So if you do have some time, that's a great way to capture some scraps from your onions and add more flavoring to your foods. So I have my broth. And it's starting to smell really, really good. We have about 3 minutes left. So I was going to see if we could test my artichokes first, see if they're done. If they're done, then normally what I like to do is I like to let them cool down just a tiny bit. And the reason I like these artichokes with this particular meal is that I can also use the broth, and I can dip my artichokes in the broth as well and use it for flavoring. So I don't need to have any sort of mayonnaise or butter or anything like that. Just dip them in the broth for the mussels. I thought that was a great idea. And Robert, what did you say? You ended up you just ordered the garlic grater? That's funny.
Marie.
I actually have, was that
Marie
Marie?
ordered that.
Who did
You ordered
order
me a
for?
garlic grater?
For Kim?
You're hilarious. A garlic grater? I have a garlic press thing.
I ordered one for you and Alan.
Oh, that's hilarious. You're hilarious.
Oh, I'm gonna
I
take
guess
my finger off. I
It's
know
so
I
simple.
guess I need to get on there and order some Band-Aids now.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
No. That's what Alan
Very good.
was saying. He'd grate his finger off. No, all it is it's this little grater. It's flat piece, and then it has when it goes on top, you put the whole
It
garlic
has a
clove
plunger.
in the top, and you just push it back and forth, and it grates it.
It's
Oh,
the, it's the
wow.
size
Your
of, it's
finger's
literally
never
the
near
size
the
of a
metal.
finger.
I do
No,
have
you're
a
small.
big one. I do
No.
have, is it like this? I have this big
No.
mandolin. So, I
no,
mean,
no,
this is
no.
huge. I already slipped my finger on this one.
Those
So I have to be
mandolins are
careful.
dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
I did this on a video just a couple years ago, and one of our friends, Marcy, who's in the group, ended up sending me a little nub to hold my vegetables with as I'm using the grater. So
It should
just
have came
remind
with.
me.
It should have came with like a round thing that
Oh, here it
has
is.
spokes in it.
Here it is.
Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. You're not supposed to use your hand. That's what you're supposed to use, something like that.
I know.
I use
It
my
was
bare hand.
laziness until I sliced my finger halfway off. You know that I'm stubborn and I
That's
have to
for
do
flavor.
everything wrong first. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well,
So,
red can be part of the rainbow too.
oh,
Oh
let's not go
God.
there. Okay, so,
Just extra iron.
Yeah.
ooh,
God.
hot. Be careful when you check your artichokes. So these ones are a little more tough. So I'm going to leave them. They're almost done. So I just stick my hand in and I just quickly try and pull. It should come right off. They should not be that hard to pull off as mine are right now. So I am going to, they still have a little bit more to go. I'm going to turn off my timer. I'm going to let them cook just a little bit more. I think that they'll be fine if I just go ahead. You know what I added? And I told you I added in my broth here because if you have any scraps of any foods and you can make a broth with them, or, you know, especially if you like to make soups, a lot of times, let's say I'm cooking asparagus, what I'll do when I steam the asparagus is I'll take the asparagus juice from, you know, the water that I steamed the asparagus in. It's usually filled with a lot of the nutrients from the vegetable, whether it's artichoke or asparagus or anything else. So I will jar that, and sometimes I'll put it in the freezer so that when I'm making soup, I will add that to my soup broth and just be able to drink some of the extra nutrients that I lost when I was steaming my vegetables.
You
So,
tried the white asparagus?
oh my
so
goodness,
good.
I have my white asparagus story. Those are really good.
Ah,
So I'm gonna put
yeah, they are.
my mussels on in here, and I am going to. I love this thing, by the way. This is my little rinser thing. It has a hole in it, but it's a thing you can put in the sink, and it has a hole, so it's easy to rinse things off and keep them from getting at the bottom of your, you know, the bottom of your sink. I don't like anything touching my sink. So I am going to cover that. And so I can steam it. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit.
Isn't that
So
what
how
a
are you
sink
liking
is
the new plate
for?
rack?
What'd you say?
How are you liking the new plate rack?
The plate rack we got, the only thing that bothers me about this plate rack that I got is that it doesn't tilt enough down to let the water out. So sometimes I have to take a little towel and go into the plate rack and dry it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually I try to catch it before my dad sees it so he doesn't go, why is there water in the plate rack? Isn't it supposed to drain? I don't want him to think I completely failed in going on Amazon and upgrading his very simple version, the rubber mat with a basic wired rack on there. No, this one's a little bit more fancy, and it has one of those draining modules that kind of you can move it back and forth, but yeah, sometimes
Is it
it
pink?
struggles. It's not pink. But if you talk to Joshua, our YouTube producer, he says that's my power color. I wear it all the time. He was very upset I was wearing
Abysmal.
beige. See, we matched today. You got the memo. So did Douglas, I think. Marie, did you get the memo? It's kind of a beige day.
Oh.
Nope, you didn't
We
get the
didn't get the
memo. Your
memo.
wall is beige.
No.
You did get the memo. You're in front of a beige wall. We'll just include
I
you in the
don't-
whole party.
I'm
Yes,
wearing a beige shirt.
Oh.
I guess you could say my skin tone is beige.
There you go. There you go, Robert.
That's why I'm not on video right now.
That's okay. We'll forgive you. You're on video a lot. Robert, why don't you tell us all about what's next on Pad Life Outdoors? Any adventures this summer?
Well, I'm hoping to get back out and try to go up what we call Blood Mountain here in Georgia. It's
Oh,
one of
wow.
one of the steepest mountains that we have. So I want to go out there and hike it before the winter time or everything, because I hiked it a couple of years ago after my surgery with my son during the winter with snowfall, and it was insane. But this time I'm gonna try to do it just without the snow on the ground. So I'm looking at doing that, and then I want to get out and just do some more just general hikes in my area here, because I got plenty of hiking trails around Lake Lanier here that I can hit and show off all the
You
beautiful.
need to do a little thing about the walking boots, walking shoes, walking boots.
Yeah, I think so
Different,
too.
I've got
different styles.
I got 2 new pair of hiking boots from everything. And I'm trying to get some like trail runners, what they call them, trail runners is the next thing I want to try out too, and see how well those things work.
I like my Merrills.
That's what I use, my
They're good
boots
boots.
and Merrills, the Moab
Yep.
2s
Yep.
or
Mine are-
3.
I got threes.
I got the
Mine are
3s.
Mine are Merrills too.
They're great. I mean, I think they're one of the best out there. But I always look for stuff that might be like less weight on my feet too, because
Exactly.
I wear a size 15 or 16 depending on who makes them.
Oh, wow. I am half
Jack
that. I'm
Jr..
just saying. I'm just saying.
Jack Jr.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing 4 or 5
Wow.
pounds just on my
No.
feet.
That's I'm half of what you wear. So the next pair you send me one shoe, I can separate it and use both feet in it. then.
Douglas is going surfing.
They don't look so big on my feet, but whenever they're in the middle of the living room floor, they look like boats sitting in my floor. So
What
I don't
are
really.
you doing, Douglas? We'll take the leftover pair.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I'll take the right side. You can have the left shoe because
Oh boy, thanks a lot. He's making a joke, Robert, because I've got a prosthetic.
Yeah,
It's on the left.
it's on the
One
left.
bozo shoe, please. Yeah, one bozo shoe.
There you go.
One bozo shoe, but you need 2 shoes, with a prosthetic. So you can still be styling. You just got to get the right shoe to fit both, right?
Well, honestly, you know what? I can wear whatever size shoe I want.
Ooh, that's
From
nice.
about a 7.5 up.
That's kind of nice. So Maria's asking, do I know how to pick out the sweetest pineapples? So I always look to see, number one, and I don't know if this is, the formula, but I look to see if it's loose up here on top. I kind of feel towards the bottom. If it's a little soft, I'll usually smell and I feel the bottom to see if I can kind of smell some of the pineapple. And that's how I go about it. I can cut this and see, how we're doing on this one. I'm not even sure. So I can,
Kim, I'll tell you how you pick them.
Oh, you have the tip for me.
Yep, stand it up.
Okay, I'm gonna put this on.
Okay, now on the very top, the little leaves in the center. Grab a hold of one and don't yank up. Yep, if it comes out nice and easy, the easier it comes
look
out,
at
the
that.
sweeter it is.
That came right out. Did you see that?
Yep, so it should be
That-
super sweet.
that's
It should
technically
be.
how you're supposed to do it. Is pull the little. If you, it's
Yep.
the same thing with what you're cooking there. If you can't pull the leaves out,
Artichoke.
yeah. If you can't pull the leaves out, it's not ready yet.
Yeah, I mean, this cut so easily. I'm gonna cut. I'm not perfect at this, but this is the way I cut a pineapple.
Nope,
I do things sometimes the hard way. I'm sure there's an easier way to cut it. but I don't mind a little extra juice on there because I make use of it. We're gonna put it in and we're gonna make pineapple wok. But let's see if we can see it cuts right through. This is really a great, I think that it's gonna be a really good pineapple.
Oh, I would be eating it just like that right now. Especially when they're sweet. They are so good.
Yeah, it's really good. It is really good. That is actually really good. Okay, so I think that my
Another thing you can do with your pineapples is like when you make a shake or something, put your pineapples in your blender, and they're really good that way too. Like a smoothie.
I think that switch these. Okay, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We had a little audio issue last night, so I have discovered that it's much better if I make sure to test my audio. So all of these, so what I do is I make sure that these are open. So like this one is not open, I am not going to eat that one. I make sure that all the ones I'm going to eat, I do not try to break them open. I was told that you have to make sure that they are open. And that one's not really open. That one's not really open. Not
That's
going to
true.
eat those. Is it true? Yeah, that's what he told me today. He said, do not eat the ones that did not open because that's the sign. So you just eat the ones that have opened wide. Don't pry them open. So it smells really good.
Does that mean they're not cooked?
Yeah, I don't think that they're meant to be eaten. I don't think that they're good. So there are a few of them in here that I probably could try and pry open, but I'm not going to. So maybe they need a little
They
bit.
don't taste like clams, Marino. If that's what you're asking, or when you boil them, are they open? Is that what you're asking?
No, what did you I just don't, he's asking why you don't eat the ones or try and pry them open.
Oh, I'll look. I don't know. Do you
I don't know
know?
either.
Let's
I was
find
just
out.
told that they're not good. That's what he said, and I did not inquire any further. I just know that I'm not supposed to eat them, so I will not eat them.
She asked
So,
if they taste like clams.
No.
oh, did she? No. I mean, if you're not
Nope.
used to the flavor, I don't you may just the texture. If you don't like chewy textures, you're not gonna like these. Because clams and mussels are pretty chewy. So I'm not gonna, wow, that's quite a few clams that I can't eat. So that's a little upsetting. So I'm just gonna leave those and I'm going to pour the lovely broth over it, which I'm really excited about. Lots of garlic and everything else in it. And voila, there you go. This is my little clam dish. That's going to be my dinner. We're going to check on the artichokes really quick one more time and see if those are done. I'm going to grab this so I don't burn myself on live video. And ooh, those are done. I don't know if you saw how quickly that came out. Ooh, all done. Very easy. And I'll show you, I'll bring a dish out so I can show you how quickly and easily you can actually pull the leaf out. So that's just hot. So, whoops, there you go. See, pretty easy right there. And they just come right out. That's how you know the artichoke's done. And then if you want to eat them, it's just really hot right now. Is there's meat on the end of it. And then you just suck the meat off. But usually you like to dip it in something. I like to dip it in the broth for the mussels. And I think that'll be delicious. So that's my meal for the evening. What do you guys think?
Sounds
Pretty good?
good.
I think so as well. So I appreciate you all joining me. I'm going to go sit down and have a delicious meal, I think. I hope you have a great night. And if anyone has any comments, they can go ahead and put them in the comment section on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, you subscribe. Join us all week. We always have a new recipe on Fridays, typically. We also have a wonderful Wednesday night. If you have peripheral artery disease, Douglas, tell them how they can actually join in the conversation on Wednesday nights. Go ahead and email you.
Yeah, email me. I'll send you the link. We have just a chat session that we get together and we just talk and chat, tell stories, laugh, and just get out of the insanity for a little bit.
Yep.
And have some fun and smile and just have a good time for a moment.
Yep.
And
if you
share
want to learn more, go
together.
to PAD group, padsupportgroup.org. You can find more information there once you join the group. And you can also email Douglas at douglas@thewaytomyheart.org. But if you want to know more of the amazing programming that we have, you can either go to our YouTube site, youtube.com/thewaytomyheart, and click on live, and you'll see all the upcoming live events. And you can also go to padhelp.org and then click on resources, and all of the information is there. Just remember, the advice and views offered in this program, don't take the advice. Don't use this information until you get explicit consent from your own health.